I really enjoy Mondays now. Mainly because I get to watch more Yuru camp. Honestly, how could anything ever go bad after that? Being able to just sit down, relax, and enjoy the adventures and times outside of these group of friends. Of course, though, we haven't really seen any joint ventures yet. It's always been solo camping, or just things about New Year's. That may be changing though. So having them all potentially gather together, and the dog, I'm excited. What are they going to cook up for us today, though? I mean, starting off strong, have a nice coming vista to have a look out onto. The open plan tent there might not give the most protection from the winds and the like, but after being denied the access to the cape, I had to find somewhere to set up shop. Considering this is more winter camping, having a warm fire and food and, well, company, but is one thing that I'm quite, it's almost sad to say, looking forward to just seeing what they would actually come up with to do while camping. What kind of, hopefully not just curry cubes and whatnot. No instant noodles. What kind of tips and tricks are we going to be taught in this episode, if any? And contrasting to a lot of my life, especially early on, of not doing anything, watching people actually go out and, as the title of this song was, seizing the day. Makes you think what could have been possible. But then again, it's kind of cold outside, so new. Ooh, the ice on the water. I liked that. It's far too complicated. 2 steps. How much? I mean, I've had, well, at least my parents had tents in the past which had the bungee cord holding everything in so it can easily set up. Yeah, she looks a little content, doesn't she? Ah, so that's what she was doing. She just upsold her 2 chairs. And tip. Ah, no. I mean, yep. Which means you can now just. Fair enough. I mean, price wise, it wasn't that much more expensive than what she paid. When did she get up and get the blanket? Make the most of the day already. They were told they can't. Where did he come from? I mean, he liked the chair. He's claimed it for his own. I mean, despite the tents and sleeping bags and stuff that she's bought for it. Okay. Okay, so there is a bit of a backstory there, not just she's a heavy drinker as well, like a certain character we know. I bet they'll want some more interactions with our corgi soon, though. And one thing about the show is that there are just random strangers that you meet out doing their own thing and camping. Never to be seen again, but see. Lots of different hobbies and pastimes all kind of converging together in one spot. Are you going to sacrifice one of her hammock chairs? I mean, it was her decision not to buy one. Is it, yeah, sharing the fun you're doing, or just rubbing it in their face? Oh no. Did you bring any battery packs or anything? The. It must be this area. It's a magnetic hazard. But they haven't noticed this quick drain elsewhere. They've had camping trips in the snow and cold before. Hmm. Maybe she shouldn't stick her face directly over it. I think this will be a non-alcoholic, a friendly version instead. But if you get a cinnamon stick on the top of it, you have drawn my attention. But you really can't go wrong with cinnamon. Oh, someone's got a hot tent. A camping stove in the middle of it. Could air out the sleeping bag and the likes. Find out all the bits that she's. Yeah, might need a little touching up. I know if I had a portable grill like that, it would be ruined. If there are easy cleaning methods where it's just dump it in and forget about it, I need to know. And now that they have turned off the phone, is there going to be some very quite useful information that is going to be missed? There's only so long they can They can stand out here in the lake. Need to find some shelter in the tents, but 2% battery left. It's only -2. What are you complaining about? Now you've got sea level to contend with. It will be freeze your balls off temperature. Dead. So 0 battery, 0 battery, 0 battery. They are now stranded with no hope. That's why they needed a pro with them. Let's hope they've at least got enough to stay warm. Good food would probably do it. The entire thing here is now just how to stay warm and... Oh. Do we have only one to go around? Okay. They have really underpacked for this trip. Although, learning from mistakes is one thing. Will they do it again? Although I think the trial by ice would help them in the future. And she's off. Maybe they... Just think of what you may get by... think of the heat that you achieve. 45 minutes later. They are screwed. And he's off. What, they're going to try to chase after it? This is going so well. In a pinch, I'm sure they wouldn't mind, you finding wood that's amongst the ground, as long as it's not too damp. How is there this many trees around and no twigs? Saved. And a dog. Now, these are people who know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Is that charcoal briquettes as well? It looked like they needed help. I mean, it's kind of funny. He's so ill prepared. He was amongst the ones that were flying the planes earlier. Now the problem is, how long is she going to take getting to and from the convenience store now? And they're going to completely forget about her and the hot bot here. She's back. Tried her hardest, but then they're nowhere to be seen. She doesn't have her phone. Oh. It. You were too late. They're gone already. It was too cold. They've migrated to another tent. And considering the tent here having to strip down a little so you're not in the over winter clothes and the like. Don't want to overheat in this place. So we're getting what we learned last episode here, and don't dribble into it, and there goes the glasses again. Come to rescue them. There's what has there been the words sent out that they need help? You're too late. Is her phone going to die as well? Spirit of the deceased. She received a call from, or a message. They probably need some help. I mean, temperature alone is one thing to be worried about. Wouldn't really be necessary to send out a search party, but with all the phones dying, okay. Well, why doesn't she go in and have hot pot as well then? They have learnt this lesson themselves, but it is good to have someone that is actually informing them more. Can't go in unprepared. They got a little too hasty. The hubris of camping after what they managed before. And yet didn't do any diligence to see where they were going, if they had all of the equipment. Well, how heartwarming. Now your phone is deceased as well, right? I mean, it's going to be hard for her to turn down that offer. There we go. What an advisor. And as far as winter warming food and grub goes, yeah, can't really complain about hot pot. Jesus Christ, she needs to cut down. And just like that, the day ends on a successful question mark camping trip. They'll have to go back to their tents now and freeze. Okay. I mean, she'd probably be there in the morning waiting for them to open. Did it really leave the car running all night just to have I'm guessing the heat on as well? Don't keep that door open for too long. Even though it didn't go quite as planned, you're kipping in a car. Waking up to the morning to that, doesn't quite make it worth it, but still. Caught it at a perfect moment there. Moments before the sun came up over the hills. The main question now, though, is did the teacher drink enough to be unable to drive this morning? Surprising. It would be a balmy 28 degrees. I think, considering how this usually goes, and they're just enjoying camp trips, and they've got those there next to them who actually knows what they're doing. Having white bait fried and whatnot. Actually showing somewhat dangers and when things go wrong or when they don't quite know what they're doing. A little bit of a advisory warning for those who want to pick up the hobby thanks to this show. It's not all just fun and games. Sometimes there is having to deal with wind chill. And I suppose now, having confirmation that they're fine, how are they going to repay her, though? What kind of gifts are there in the future? I don't think I've ever jumped for joy. Definitely not on camera, at least. The issues with owning a vehicle. Since we've had a camp out with those three, now we're having a closer moment with the two left over. Or left out. Oh no. I think it should be fine as long as there's others with her. It's going to need to be meticulously planned. Now, unfortunately, despite the flack I may have given them for going in light-handed and not really knowing what they were doing, yeah, under-preparing and under-planning are kind of my specialities. Never actually really knowing what is in store for me. That kind of level of thinking on your feet and trying to figure shit out on the fly, I find interesting. And that's not just an excuse for poor planning. Or laziness. But nonetheless, if I was to go winter camping, I would go with more than just a blanket, a sleeping bag, and a tent. And a hand warmer. This, as I kind of alluded to earlier, this episode does do quite a good job at showing some of the issues and dangers of camping. Even if you're at a campsite, they're not going to stay. The managers and whatnot aren't going to stay awake and at the front desk 24/7 just in case you need some help. And with that in mind, having a quick look around, finding no firewood and twigs. The idea that she managed to go down to a convenience store, grab some hand warmers, and free cardboard? You have to pay for that shit round here. No one gets free cardboard. You know, I jest, but I really do think that places in Japan are more likely a lot more amicable for when you're asking for, can I just have all your spare cardboard that you obviously don't need, or your delivery boxes and the like. There'd be so much red tape and corporate bullshit for at least the shops around here that I know of. And while my earlier comment of having these people that they meet or just see on their adventures, like the ones that are flying the little RC planes, yeah, they're just in the background doing their own thing, never to be seen or interacted with again, just showing that the wider world, oh no, wait, they come to your rescue. The wood stove hot tent. Yuru Camp does both. It's like sometimes there's people out there that they just to flesh out the story that they're of doing their own things. But also, no, they can interact, help out, and I'm guessing, since they've got a shop, they may have a few new customers, maybe once. At least I don't believe the teacher is going to turn down the offer of getting more of that sake. Now that I think about it, maybe I remember saying somewhat of a story like this early on in Yuru Camp, but there was one time, I think it was around Halloween, there was a small gathering of random friends and whatnot, and ended up camping outside in the cold, which I didn't know that we were meant to be camping. So had nothing. Completely, not only underprepared, but negatively prepared. And while granted the kind of Octobers in Britain aren't exactly the most frigid of temperatures, it wasn't great. And despite the weather being kind of nice now, I could do with something warming like a stew, soup, or hot pot myself. Would mean actually having to go and make it though. Obviously wouldn't have the feeling to it, not being able to do it over a wood stove or some burning kindling. You know, I talked myself into it. So, well, while I go off and try and make some food, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to see more, just stick around, really. There's still quite a few episodes of this season of Yuru Camp. And so, if you've enjoyed, maybe leave a like and a comment down below. Maybe even join onto my Discord. You know, take care of yourselves. If you're considering going anywhere, just maybe make sure you're not going to freeze to death. See you in the next one. My patrons are my saviours in the dead of winter. If you would like to help me and my channel avoid freezing, consider joining onto my Patreon as well, because with your help we can get a nice warm meal, and who knows, maybe even some cardboard. That luscious cardboard. But still, I need to thank Noku, Raywin, Sao, Shiwan, Guado, Tori Jane, Croyville, Kite, Light Wizard 91, Megu42, Diego Zenhausen, Maxwell, Cardboard, and everyone else. So once again, thank you.